Is it time to make pot legal in this country for recreational use? Or will that just add to the myriad of drug problems the nation is already experiencing? It's your call right now. You know, pot smoking is as popular today as it's ever been, but you might be surprised who's doing the most token. Think it's your teenagers or college-age kids? Well, yeah, probably, but experts say baby boomers are lighting up now more than ever before. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle, asking the question once again, is it time to legalize pot in this country? If you want to tell me what you think, email me right now at lynn@lynndoyle.net. Philadelphia Magazine recently featured a cover story which claims pot is back, and it says it's had a resurgence among suburbanites and baby boomers. The very parents that are said to go hardline against drugs with their kids are often actually using pot to chill out themselves from their stressful days of work and home. As a result, many people are once again calling for it to be legalized or at the very least decriminalized. But opponents say the downside of pot use remains the same as it's always been. We're going to hear from both sides right now. Chris Goldstein and Neil Franklin are in favor of making it legal. Chris is a marijuana reform advocate working in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and Neil has 33 years of experience on the police force. He was also an undercover narcotics agent. On the other side of this issue is Dan Riccado and Scott Sigmund. They oppose it. Dan's the mayor of Morristown, New Jersey, who is also a conservative radio talk show host, and Scott is a former Philadelphia assistant district attorney. With opinions like these, this show is going to be a good one. So I thank you all for being with us. I have to start this discussion with Neil, because when I was reading through my research and it said that you had 33 years in law enforcement, I thought you'd be sitting on this side of the table saying, no way, don't legalize it, and yet you say it should be at least decriminalized. Why?
Well, there was a time when I was on that side of the table. That was a few years ago. And yeah, I spent 33 years in the trenches of this war on drugs. And in the 1980s, early 1980s, I was an undercover agent in the Maryland State Police. So I was out there arresting folks. You know, I thought the people who smoked marijuana were bad people. I thought the people who did drugs were bad people. But then as time went on, and I started to see the damage that was being caused under Prohibition, started to take a different look at it, and it was Mayor Kurt Schmoke of Baltimore who really got me looking in this direction of ending Prohibition. You
said the war on drugs. Is
well,
there a war on drugs, and is it working? It's more like a war
against our own people is what it is.
How so?
Well, I mean, look at the number of people we're putting in prison. You know, the United States right now, we put more people away per capita than any other country in the world, by far. Russia and China beat them like crazy. I mean, it's...
Are we putting them away for drug use? Is that what you're saying? There are too many people in the jails for
Absolutely.
Using recreational drugs?
And the large majority for non-violent drug offenses.
All right, I have to turn over here because, Scott, you made a career of putting criminals behind bars.
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, the very first weapons and mass destruction case in Pennsylvania was all based on a marijuana operation. Because marijuana is incredibly profitable. And because of that profit margin, there's a lot of violence associated with it. But I think there's a very important point here. There's a difference between making it legal and decriminalizing it. I don't think I'm sitting here advocating that pot users should be all thrown in jail and fill up our prisons, okay?
Right.
However, the problem is when you legalize marijuana, there's no doubt that you're going to have increased usage.
All right.
And increased usage will increase demand, and increased usage, there's also the gateway drug, will increase heroin and cocaine.
Let's clarify legalize and decriminalize. Who wants to do that for me?
Well, legalization and decriminalization are two separate things. Decriminalized marijuana exists in 13 states right now, including the state of Massachusetts. So 7 grams or less, it's a non-criminal offense. You're not prosecuted for any criminal offense under decriminalization. You simply pay a fine. But legalization, this would create a taxed and regulated market for marijuana, and that really is the most sensible thing to do. Decriminalizing marijuana leaves it in the underground market, so if you really do want to cut out some of the ancillary problems with it, you really have to tax and regulate it.
Lynn, we can call it whatever we want to call it. At the end of the day, either or means greater use. And studies after studies have shown, the states that Chris mentioned, in fact, that once you decriminalize or legalize, as they've done in the Netherlands, for example, use goes up in all age categories, including teenagers. So we shouldn't fall into this notion that just simply legalizing it or decriminalizing it sounds so soft and harmless means that it's going to be used in a responsible way. It won't be.
If the use increases, though, but it's in a regulated way. Isn't that actually better for people than being exposed to narcotics that could be coming from just anywhere?
All the way around. And marijuana is not the beast that it's been made out to be over the past few decades. Let's get that straight. First of all, no one has ever died from ingesting marijuana. Compare that to alcohol and other drugs that are out here, completely different. So it's not that monster that we've been taught that it is over the years.
Well, Lynn,
and it's the violence that is associated with the illegal market that is most damaging to our country, and not just our country, but to Mexico, where over 28,000 people have been murdered in the past 3 to 4 years.
Here's where Neil's wrong. The fact is that marijuana usage does have negative impact on health. There's no disputing
Absolutely.
that.
Actually, there's a lot of dispute.
Sorry, there's a body of knowledge.
You're looking at the wrong
there's a body of knowledge.
Or old data. The newest data and the most reputable data, including the American Medical Association, the Veterans Administration.
There's a body of knowledge.
These are the people that recognize marijuana as medicine, including the New Jersey state government.
There's a body of knowledge that very clearly states that there are harmful effects of marijuana. Marijuana has a carcinogen called benzopyrene, double the amount in tobacco. No matter how they want to spin it, the reality is frequent marijuana use leads to healthcare problems, leads to increased usage of the. It absolutely does.
Frequent marijuana use doesn't even increase the use of lung cancer. There was a landmark study done over 10 years.
False.
4 categories were in there. Donald Tashkin, look up the data. I know you'll have time to do it.
Is there benzopyrene in marijuana?
10,000
Is there
people were looked at
benzopyrene in marijuana?
for 10 years.
Is there benzopyrene in marijuana?
Benzopyrene exists when you combust any plant material, so it will
Is
happen.
it double the amount that's in a tobacco cigarette?
I don't think that that's true.
I know it's
Look,
true.
Lynn,
No,
they
it's not
have,
true. No,
they
and
have
actually the 4
alternatives.
categories that you look at for lung cancer: people who smoke cigarettes, people who smoke marijuana, people who smoke nothing. The category of moderate lifetime consumers of marijuana were at the lowest risk for lung cancer compared to people who smoke nothing. So, yes, it is true. Look up Donald Tashkin's data. You could say it's true, it's not true,
Look,
and you can compare data, but that is.
If we talk about legalization, though, they have an alternative. They have an alternative that doesn't involve ingesting smoke. It's called Marinol. By prescription.
That's not
so
marijuana.
You can go to a
it's
doctor.
Synthetic. It's a chemical.
It's synthetic. It's THC.
It's a chemical.
It's the exact
and
drug in
not the
marijuana.
exact
For many
But
of the cancer patients that
that is
I was going to say, we're talking about 2 different things, though, right?
That is apples and oranges.
Medical marijuana is a different subject altogether. This is, we are strictly talking about recreational use. You think people, Scott, are going to get Marinol and say, hey, I'm getting high on this?
But look, that's the issue. The issue is people want to get high. We should not be promoting or encouraging people to get high and people to use drugs.
Well, then why is alcohol
people do
legal
want to get
then?
high. That is what people do. They want to get high. But when you prohibit that, when you restrict that to the point where you're putting people in prison, that's a big problem. When you create that criminal underground, that is a huge problem.
Totally agree. But facts are funny things. Less than 5% of all prisoners in the federal system are there for drug-related charges.
He noticed he said federal, not state, and that's the big difference.
Let me finish the thought. Less than 5% are in for possession. If you even include the state, actually, most people that are in prison for possession have pleaded down from a higher charge. It's a complete fabrication to think our prisons are loaded.
Legalize it. They're pleading down already.
On that note, guys, I have to take a quick break, but I do want to know what you have to say. What do you think about the idea of legalizing, not decriminalizing it, but just saying, hey, outright, it's okay to smoke pot? If you want to tell us what you think, you can email me right now. It's lynn@lynndoyle.net. We'll be right back.